Track Record with your hosts Mike Shea and Robert Yetter. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode this week of Track Record. I'm your host Mike Shea.
And I am Robert Yetter.
And today we're going to be talking about some interesting stuff, I think. I think we did a nice big shift from last week. Probably flip-flopping a little bit here. On our takes on stuff. Apologies throughout this show if at any point it sounds like I'm straining or groaning. I'm not pooping. I hurt my back again, and my muscles have a tendency to seize up, so I might just be mid-sentence and suddenly go, huh! That's all that is. It's not a poop.
Well, something might come out. You can't just say that you won't poop.
That's true. Anything is possible. Also, like, I know it's the first weekend of fall, but it's like 90 degrees outside, so like my fan is on in the background.
It's been hot the past few days. What the hell?
I don't know. I moved away from the south to get away from this nonsense, and it followed me. So
it happens. Living right next to the lake. It's the humidity too, so it's like being down there again. It's weird.
Yeah, and I live right by the Ohio River, so that current just kind of pushes the air this way. So
apparently during winter, it's a bad thing. It's called lake effect.
Mm-hmm.
Because of it, I don't know if you guys experience any of that.
Generally
close to it.
Not as much. I think when I was living up in Northeast Ohio when I was a kid, we got hit with a lot of that because you're right there by Lake Erie. Down here, it's just kind of hit or miss. All right, so last week I gave Robert an album, and then he gave by Ailstorm called No Grave But the Sea. He talked about it. He was less than favorable towards it. He gave me Thy Art Is Murder's new one. I kind of rode the fence on it, I think. So we decided. So this week we just kind of randomly assigned each other new albums. Going forward from here, we are going to have kind of a theme to every episode. So we'll talk more about that later as we go on. But I guess we decided that I'm going to go first this week. So, Robert, why don't you tell them a little bit about what it is you gave me, and then I'll dive into it.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what my first experience with this album was that I gave you. It's the self-titled album by Babymetal. And I gave it to you because it's a guilty pleasure of mine, and I actually do enjoy listening to it, not unlike Ailstorm for you, but it's kind of a fusion of idol pop and metal, kind of the first fusion of its kind, and it's very interesting, but trying to think of how I even came across that. It was probably my wife, Candace. On one of her YouTube binges, she probably came across it. She's a big J-pop, K-pop girl, so that's probably how I discovered it.
Well,
so that's what I gave you, and I hope that you found enjoyment out of it, or something to laugh about.
We're just gonna go with yes. So Babymetal by Babymetal is the album that Robert gave me. This now a little bit of backstory on me with this band. This is something that people have been trying to get me to listen to for years. Like when they first started coming around, man, everybody was like, dude, well, it wasn't even so much like they just wanted my opinion on it. And for the longest time, I just said, I don't have one. I haven't listened to it. I've seen some clips, and I've just kind of been like, you know what, I'm not going to go near it. So Robert found a way to get me to listen to it, I guess.
Hey, what's the name of that festival? Is it in North Carolina? That does the
Carolina Rebellion?
They were there a couple of years back or something like
that. See, I went to the one in 2015. They weren't at that one. But I think the most recent thing I remember hearing about them was at the end of 2016. They performed at the Alternative Press Music Awards with Rob Halford from Judas Priest. and did a bunch of
Oh,
Judas
yeah?
Priest covers. I haven't seen the video.
What?
I'm a little curious to because I mean Judas Priest is my shit. That's sacred to me. So I'm a little afraid to watch it, but one of these days. But this was a band that, you know, while I was working in radio, when everyone was just kind of like, we kind of want to know what you think, and I'm like, I kind of don't want to know what I think because it could be world altering. So anyway, long story short, it was not world altering when I listened to it. I didn't see the light. I also didn't see like the fires of hell. Call that what you will. I have some opinion. Okay, so I'm just gonna start with positives. I'm gonna talk some pros and cons here. So the pros, production quality wise, this is one of the most well produced albums I think I've ever heard. All the layers, every instrument is distinct, but none overpower the others. It's not "And Justice for All" by Metallica, where the bass is non-existent. It's there. The guitars are there. The drums are there. We talked about last week, talking about "Thy Art Is Murder." When I listen to metal, I want I want the kick drums to feel like I'm getting punched in the gut every time they hit, and I felt that with this one. The music itself is brutal as shit. I mean, really reminiscent of like Death Clock, and I love me some Death Clock. I love me some Metalocalypse. And I mean, I will say right off the bat, as far as Babymetal goes, there's no denying how unique it is. I mean, it is different. It stands on its own. I can't think of anything else that really sounds like this in any way, shape, or form. And when I listen to it, I can kind of see what they were going for in terms of trying to reach multiple audiences at once. And I think that's a good endeavor for any music act to take. I think it's good to try and appeal to as many audiences as you can while still kind of staying true to yourself, if that makes any sense. That sounds a little snapple-cappy, but because like I went to a concert a few years ago. It was Hollywood Undead headlining with All That Remains as direct support. One of the weirdest shows I've ever been to in my life, but it attracted a variety of people, and I can see Babymetal listening to this album. I can see them doing that. I can see myself. It's like going to see Trans-Siberian Orchestra. You're going to see people there in suits and evening gowns, and you're going to see dudes like me wearing band shirts with their hair all messed up.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of different people.
Sadly, you think it's that rather than purely just a gimmick?
I'm getting there. Sadly, that's.
I didn't mean to interject.
You're good. I'm about to get to that because that's unfortunately the end of my list of the things that I really liked about it. Here's the thing about
in about a minute and a half.
Here's the thing. I am a nerd. I bleed nerddom. I bleed geekdom.
Yes.
Unfortunately, anime and J-pop and the Japanese stuff, not something I've ever really been into. That's the one level of geekdom I've just never really found a real chord with.
You're like an American nerd.
Yeah, I'm pretty much a straight American nerd. There are some animes I like. Like I really like Hellsing Ultimate and Hellsing Abridged. The Abridged series is fucking hilarious. But Hellsing Ultimate's pretty awesome. Full Metal Alchemist is the shit. I have found some Attack on Titan's good. I've found some I've watched that I've enjoyed. As a whole, though, like I can also say that about like romantic comedies. Like I'm not necessarily a romantic comedy fan, but I've seen some that I've liked. Country music. I'm not
anything with Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, I'll watch him in anything.
All of his old, his rom phase.
Oh yeah, especially what is it like? How to Lose a Guy
Fool's
in 10 Days. Fool's Gold. Yeah, Sahara. That wasn't romantic. Oh, it was kind of romantic. I don't know.
Terrible.
Had Steve Zahn in it. Anyway.
Oh God.
But so like J-pop and stuff like that. Like I've gone to karaoke bars with people who are into that, and they sing all the J-pop stuff. Whatever, have fun. That's your thing. That's cool. It's just never clicked with me. It's like, I love drinking. I don't like wine. Some people like wine. I don't like wine. So
Mike, we're becoming further apart as we speak.
I know. It's going to be really tough next week when the Destiny servers are down. Yeah. Anyway, the J-pop stuff. So on this Babymetal album, when the J-pop stuff kicks in, like when it goes from being straight metal to the J-pop stuff showing up, it a lot of the times was really jarring and kind of distracting because it wasn't seamless. It was basically just metal, J-pop. It wasn't like, I didn't feel like it blended very well. It really kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me. It was a little almost off-putting. While this actual quality of it, in terms of like production quality and recording and all that, is really good, I didn't gather a whole lot of substance from any of it. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk next to that. I don't speak Japanese, and I wasn't about to learn Japanese for this. That's not going to happen. You try learning Japanese in a week. I didn't gather a whole lot of substance from it. To me, it felt, again, to go back to the point you were bringing up earlier, it was really, really gimmicky in terms of, I feel like it was more gimmick than music. Kind of like Ghost. I think Ghost is more gimmick than music. And that's a band I have no opinion on whatsoever. I can't make up my mind on whether or not I like them, but that's another thing for another day. Yeah, for this one, it was just kind of like, I kind of like what you said last week about Ailstorm. With this, I felt like it couldn't make up its mind what it wanted to be, because there were a lot of tracks where I was like, okay, the metal is almost non-existent in this. It's almost strictly J-pop. And there were other songs where I was like, there's almost no J-pop in this. It's like strictly death metal. And then there were others where it was kind of 50-50 or 80-20, however you want to look at it. It didn't feel like it had a clear direction it was trying to head. There were a couple times listening to it, I was able to draw some comparisons to this band called Amaranth, which is this European metal band. They have 3 vocalists. One does like death metal screams, one does like traditional rock vocals like Steven Tyler stuff, and one is a girl named Elise Reed who got her career started as a touring vocalist for Camelot, and she does kind of a pop style vocal for the band. And they incorporate a lot of electronic and techno stuff, again similar to Babymetal, but again, I haven't really formed an opinion on that kind of thing because it's just so jarring. There were a couple times where it was like, I felt like it was pandering to two totally different fan bases, because you look at the metal fan base and the J-pop fan base, and there is no two fan bases more different from each other, I think, than those two. And I felt like it was trying to pander to both fan bases, but I'm not sure how either one is going to get a lot of satisfaction out of it. Like, the metal fans are probably going to listen, like me, are probably going to listen to it and go, what's with the Japanese shit? I'm a little confused. And some of the more traditional J-pop fans are going to hear this and go, what's with the guitars and the kick drums? I'm confused. Like, I'm sure, I'm not saying all fans are going to think that way, but I can see how a lot of the more traditional metal or J-pop fans might feel that way. I understand the idea of being weird for the sake of being weird. I mean, I listened to Psycho Stick and Ailstorm, so I get it. There were a couple times listening to it, because I'm a big live music fan, so my thoughts were kind of along the lines of, what is this going to be like live? You know, like, how much lip syncing is going to be involved? How much of it is going to be just dancing and guys playing instruments, and how much of it's going to be actual like legit singing and stuff going on, like actual talent being shown other than the band playing. And you know, the last thing I kind of looked at, because I was kind of looking at the like how the album did commercially, just to kind of get an idea and see how it was. You know, I mean, the album itself got complete across the board critical acclaim from both Japanese and American reviews and things like that. And the album itself hit number 1 on both US and UK metal charts on iTunes. And hit number 4 on the US Billboard international charts. Wow. And I see that, and on one hand I'm like, well, good for them. That's something to be proud of. I mean, I'm not going to knock it, but at the same time, as kind of a bitter old fuck when it comes to my metal, it's like, why is this garnering so much fucking support and love and attention when some of the more like traditional, serious, substantial metal bands like have to fucking bend over backwards 9 different ways to get, you know, a guest spot on the Tonight Show? Or
that's always the golden question, man.
You know,
how is it that David Hasselhoff has a music career?
Yeah. Why, or, you know, fucking William Shatner. I mean, yeah, he's Captain Kirk, but good, that's great. Fantastic. I can watch that Rocket Man video 1,000,000 times, but I still don't understand. Or, like, even recently, the Cash Me Outside girl. Like, that...
Oh, I was just watching one of her videos today and commenting on how...
just that alone is like, how come that and stuff like Babymetal is, like, instant media attention, gratification status... But stuff that's traditionally like trying to make an effort as a working class, serious musical talent, you know, like a lot of stuff that you and I listen to, has to like barely scrape by. So it's just one of those. It was just kind of like, I feel like I'm kind of knocking the band more than the album now that I say this, and I kind of feel shitty for that. But this is just these are the thoughts that this album made me have. You know, it was a lot of like, it was a lot of me sitting there asking, it wasn't a lot of me asking, how did they do this? It was a lot of, why did they do this? You know, how much of this is a throwback to the 90s when labels were putting together pop groups and packaging them and sending them out on tours, and how much of this was actually people who wanted to do something. There's a lot of questions that it just kind of come to mind listening to this album. So that's my 2.5 cents on Babymetal by Babymetal.
Okay. What's your stars at? See them purple stars, Bo.
Out of 4, I'm gonna have to give this. I'm gonna give this a 1 out of 4 purple stars, man.
1 out of 4.
1 out of 4. I tried to be open-minded with it. I was like, maybe it'll change my mind, and I'll just eat some crow and deal with it. But I couldn't. I tried. And this is all I've listened to for the last week. Driving out of the parking lot at work at night, getting some weird looks from my coworkers, but, you know, it is what it is. So, yeah, that's what I got, man. That's what I got. Your rebuttal?
Okay. Rebuttal. No, I mean, honestly, I agree with a lot of what you said, and it is a gimmick, and you know, it almost feels like when you're listening to it, it's like these 3 girls were given, you know, these tracks, right, and just like put some vocals over these, right, and that's all it was. It's not like it was a true band and they all got together and they wrote these songs. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like there's a definite disconnect between the band and the singers. Also, on a sidebar, like, those girls are really young. I don't know.
Yeah, they're like 13?
Yeah, when they started out, the 2 younger ones, like the twin-looking ones, they were like 13, I think, and the other one was like 14.
Because there's the one girl who is like definitely supposed to be like the lead singer or whatever.
Yeah. She's got an amazing voice.
There were a couple times where I could hear her isolated vocals, and I was like, okay, I want to hear more of her singing, just in a different way.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense.
Yeah, they could. And did you delve into their more recent album, Metal Resistance?
Not yet. I focus just on this one for the sake of the podcast. I will definitely follow up with the new one because I've heard that it was a little bit different from the first one.
It has the same kind of, like, most songs kind of do a little switch and switch thing within the song, but then there's, purely J-pop or purely metal songs, like you said. And so I think it follows a pretty similar structure.
I heard the guitar players from Dragon Force are on the new album.
Really? I don't know.
I'll have to look that up at some point. But yeah, I heard about that. So yeah, I'll give the second album a shot and see if I typically give any band 3 albums to wow me.
We have to wait a little bit further.
Yeah. But I'll give the second one a shot and go from there. But this one alone, just upon a week of listening to it round the clock, I got to give it a 1. So
okay, you heard it, right. Audience. That's a 1 purple star out of 4. Mr. Mike Shea on Babymetal by Babymetal.
Yep. So what are you giving me for next? Well, let's wait and tell them what we're gonna give out next week when we tell them what the theme is for next week at the end.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll come back in just a second and hear Robert's take on the album that I gave him. In the meantime, I'm going to take a quick break here and give you guys some important information. Are you into making music, videos, or podcasts? Are you a local comedic talent in need of some much-needed publicity? Are you a behind-the-scenes professional interested in audio-video production, graphic design, and public relations? Eventide Entertainment is actively seeking talents, clients, and professionals to help our business grow into something truly special. And we want you to be one of those. For more information, go to facebook.com/Eventide Entertainment or send us an email at eventideent@gmail.com.
There's nothing quite as satisfying as a good conversation with intelligent company.
Join comedian Don Smith every week as he sits down and talks with comedians, actors, filmmakers, writers, and everyday schmoes. It's The Life with Don Smith, Wednesdays at noon on 106.9 FM, and now available on the Eventide Entertainment podcast feed every Friday on Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes. Hey guys, it's Mike Shea here, and I bet you're probably wondering, hey Mike, how can I possibly do something to help make this podcast a little more special? Well, there's a couple different ways you guys can do that. If you're talking about my podcast in particular, then I highly recommend you guys go to patreon.com/MikeTalksFunny. That's patreon.com/MikeTalksFunny. By going to this link, you guys will be able to subscribe for as little as $1 a month. And that will get you all kinds of access to special perks and rewards from me to you for helping keep the lights on at this podcast and help keep things online. For as much as $50 a month, I will get you and 4 of your friends into Wiley's Comedy Club once a month for free. That pays for itself the first time you do it, I promise you. Now, if you're thinking, well, how can I help support the rest of the podcasts here at Eventide Entertainment? It's just as easy by going to patreon.com/EventideEnt. That's patreon.com/EventideEnt. And there, again, for as little as $1 a month, you get all kinds of cool coupon codes and rewards and free stuff from us for all of the music and podcasts and videos and stuff we put out for you guys. And if you want to learn any more about myself or about everything going on here at Eventide, you can follow my website at MikeSheaComedy.com or check out the Eventide website at EventideEnt.com. That's my website, MikeSheaComedy.com, and the Eventide website, EventideEnt.com. And now, here's more.
Welcome back to Track Record. We have just discussed Babymetal by Babymetal. Mike gave us his take on that, and pretty low scoring in his book.
Yeah.
I think we should call this show Track Record, a.k.a. Mike and Bob shit on each other's dreams.
That's
Track Record, a.k.a. Mike and Bob pretty much just shit on each other's taste in music.
One of these days, we're both gonna find something. I think.
One day.
Hopefully, with picking these themes, maybe we'll make it a little bit easier.
Yes, drink of the night tonight is a gin and tonic, just so the audience knows. Stay frosty.
Yeah, I'm on pain meds, so I'm drinking apple juice. So
That's never stopped anybody. They all have liver cancer now. Wait, is it? Maybe that was a terrible joke.
I don't know. The doctor.
Is it the kidneys or the liver that gets fucked up by pain meds?
I would imagine to be both.
Alcohol. Both, yeah.
Because the livers are basically the AC system filter of the body. So, but now the doctor he wanted to give me muscle relaxers, but I was like, I work nights at a television station. Let's not tempt fate.
So give me all the muscle relaxers that you have.
Why is the TV in bars? Mike's high. I'm just sitting there counting the bars.
I decided to play Teletubbies instead. Fuck you guys. Tinky Winky. Mike, what is the album that you gave me for this week?
All right, so the album I gave Robert for this week is one that, the last week I gave him an album, the Ailstorm album, which was just something fun and stupid that I knew he would hate. This one, I was attempting to find something that was more along the lines of what he was looking for, as far as being like either definitely serious or definitely jokey, and I went for the former. It's from Five Finger Death Punch. It's the first part of their 2-part concept album they did, called The Wrong Side of Heaven and the Righteous Side of Hell, Volume 1. I was nice and didn't make him do both volumes, for a couple different reasons. One, that's a lot of fucking music to listen to, and two, Volume 2, not as good as Volume 1. But Five Finger Death Punch, the name alone suggests a band that maybe isn't as serious as you might think, and I felt like this album was their real thorough attempt at making an album that is, for the most part, a pretty serious and involved album. There were some definite themes that I enjoyed. There's a cover on there that I really can't wait to hear Robert's thoughts on. And the album did well critically and commercially. And when we get to the rebuttal part of things, I have got some stories about this. Well, a story about this album. But I'm gonna stop wasting time rambling and let Robert tell us what he thought.
Okay, so I just looked it up. Mama Said Knock You Out was written by LL Cool J, right?
Have you never heard that song before?
I've heard it, but it's been probably since it fucking came out in 1990. Actually, I was just born that year, so that's impossible. Can I just get to that?
Sure.
Just at the front.
Yeah.
One of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. That cover, like, why even attempt?
Wow. Even with Tech 9?
What's the point? Why that song? What is the message? Okay? And that brings me to my theme for my diarrhea on this album. Yet another blankets for you, sir. And that is, it's not as serious as you say. It and you said last week that you hold this album in high regard as far as the artistry of it goes, and I don't know where you think that the artistry comes in, because to me it's also just kind of a machismo type of gimmicky thing, Granted, there are some good messages in the songs, in some of them, particularly "Wrong Side of Heaven," and if you've probably seen the video on YouTube. The music video for it is pretty thought provoking, to say the least. Um, when it, as far as talking about the military and the state of the United States during these times, but other than that, it was really I couldn't take it serious. I mean, you have songs. It was actually one of my favorites. I have a list of 3 songs here that were my favorites, and this is one of them. Even though it's one of my least favorites too, because it's so dumb. It's called "Burn MF."
Yeah.
All right. Now, another theme of this album for me is that it's pretty much a conundrum. I can't. In every song, pretty much there are moments that I really like, that I enjoy, but then like the guy comes in and he starts singing and he's got these terrible lyrics and it just ruins it every time for me. And that's not all. It's not just the lyricism that is simplistic and cliche, and like I said, it's you know, I don't really know how to explain it because it's so like macho, you know. It's like 5-finger death punch, like in your fucking gut, bitch. It's really just like a cock measuring contest of an album, and it doesn't jive with me. Like I said, okay, back to the song "Burn MF." All right, I like the song because the chugs are amazing. It's like a chug orgy. It's sweet, and so there's good instrumentation, and that's good until the lyrics come in, like burn motherfucker, burn mother. Like, no, come on, that is not good stuff. That's not artistry that you should hold in high regard, Mike. I'm sorry. But that's pretty much every song on this album. It has, like Burn MF, it has the cool chug, something to enjoy, something that's catchy, something that I would actually enjoy. But then there's just this other element, and it's hard to pin down, that I just don't. It ruins it for me. Every song is a conundrum. This album, actually, in doing research for it, it peaked at #1 on rock, hard rock, and independent charts in the U.S. in 2013. So it's actually an album that other people hold in high regard, and critics do as well, based on those numbers. Peaked at #1 on 3 charts in the U.S. But my beefs are that the lyricism is too simplistic, that, you know, I don't like that tough guy persona, really.
Right.
I think that's kind of played out. I don't think it really fits in society, really, these days. I don't know. Like you say, I'm not a doctor. And one thing I noticed, which, go back and listen to this record, because it's really jarring. The guitar sounds the same on every single song. It's like it was one studio session, and the guy never like chose a different pedal or a different amplifier or a different level. The guitar sounds the exact same gain on his distortion every single time. It's really freaky. And that, to me, shows laziness in the studio. Do you remember the band Cold?
Oh, God, yeah.
Remember that album, Year of the Spider?
Uh-huh.
That was one of my first forays into this. I see that's one of the. I don't really listen to this kind of music often, but that's one of the things something that I draw a comparison with, was that Cold band. I just thought that they were a funny band. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about Drowning Pool, but they came to mind when listening to this. Just kind of that with that macho persona. And basically, I don't think that a comparison, and my wife will probably tell you differently, to Drowning Pool is a good comparison, or Cold for that matter. I got some sort of like if you took Metallica, right? There's got to be some formula for it. Metallica plus Cold minus Giving a Shit equals Five Finger Death Punch. Is that the?
You're asking a guy who. You're asking a guy who is in an abusive relationship with math, so that's not going to happen.
Math is your friend.
Yeah.
Okay, some songs that I liked. We talked about Burn Motherfucker, Burn, the Chug Orgy. I did like the song Wrong Side of Heaven, the one that has the heartfelt video about the military. Really, it's just one little guitar lick that's in there. It's a clean melodic guitar lick that's in there, and it plays like 2 or 3 times, and that for me is enough. And I think that if they had an interesting piece like that in their songs to kind of make it less monotonous, that I would like them a lot more. Another song that I enjoyed was Anywhere But Here. A little simplistic, but it does have Maria Brink.
Fuck yeah, it does.
I don't know how you say her name, Mariah or Maria.
Maria
Brink of In This Moment, and she has a wonderful voice. And my wife actually got me into that band.
Smart woman.
So she's like a female. What's a good comparison for her? I don't want to say Marilyn Manson, but
no, I think she's like if Dita Von T started a metal band.
Okay.
Because I think, especially with their more recent stuff, because I've seen them live like 4 times in the last couple of years, and their live show is very much like a combination of a Broadway production, a burlesque show, and a metal show. Oh yeah, it's very theatrical.
That sounds tantalizing.
It's something to behold. They've kind of, their fan base is kind of a little bit divided on the new direction that the sound of the band has taken, but yeah, I'm into it. But that's I'll cover that in my rebuttal.
Okay. I mean, I really don't have a lot to say about this. It was kind of middle of the road for me. Like I said, if there wasn't there, if they took out one of the bad factors, which I think their worst factor is the lyricism.
Okay.
If they improved upon that, then they would have something a little more special, something that sets themselves apart. But they're not going to do that because they're fucking Five Finger Death Punch, and they do whatever the fuck they want, right? I mean, whatever I say is not going to be like, I shouldn't say Burn Motherfucker in my song, or whatever the fuck else I say. I'm going to stick my fist inside of things. Hint. I give this album, The Wrong Side of Heaven and the Righteous Side of Hell, Volume 1 by Five Finger Death Punch, 1.5 purple stars. I inherited your half star.
It's handy.
It is a little less than good.
Okay.
That's all I have.
All right. Just a couple of things. I think I misspoke last week in when I was talking the album up a bit. For me, I think it's in terms of the artisanship of it. I think it's that's more of a perspective thing in terms of comparing it to their previous stuff. I feel like this was more of an artistic endeavor compared to what they'd done in the past. I will agree. I mean, the lyrics from Five Finger Death Punch are, for the most part, pretty one note. It's a lot of dick swinging and a lot of muscle flexing. I will say they are one of those bands when they actually do sit down and put some effort into the lyrics of a song, that I think they tend to knock it out of the park. But you can usually easily tell when they do and when they don't do that.
Yeah.
Like with Wrong Side of Heaven, you can tell, okay, because they're always like, they're a band who, like, I used to be a big member of the street team. They're very active with like a lot of the veteran groups and stuff like that. Because 2 or 3 of the guys in the band are ex-military, so they do a lot of the stuff. One of the things that kind of got them mainstream success was their cover of "Bad Company" by Bad Company. And I think every album they've done so far has at least 2 or 3 songs like "Wrong Side of Heaven," "Anywhere But Here," which are, you can hear them and go, okay, they were legitimately trying with that one. Whether it succeeded or not is up to the ear of the beholder. But for the most part, you can almost call this our gimmick band episode, because I feel like Death Punch is a gimmick band that on the surface doesn't seem like a gimmick band.
Right. Because
on the surface, it's just kind of generic, aggressive, ball-busting heavy metal. When you actually take a moment and pay attention to it, you're like, okay, there's a gimmick and a theme here. And I've seen them live. There's a gimmick and a theme there. It's similar to Ailstorm. It's one that I'm into. I'm not a macho guy, man's man type person, but it's for the same reason that, like, I watch pro wrestling. It's like occasionally I just want some testosterone fueled nonsense. So I will say, with this album, I think one of the reasons I liked it as much as I did is because it came with a live album, like of a concert they did. Right. And having seen them live, I can say they are one of the best bands to see live in terms of how, like, good a quality the performance is and like the spectacle of it all. Kind of like Slipknot, it's a big spectacle of a thing.
Yeah.
So it was a really good live album. It was a good selection of songs. And then Volume 2, I felt like was not as much dick swinging, but I felt like it was more just kind of like the B-sides, the ones that didn't make it onto Volume 1. Volume 2 has their cover of House of the Rising Sun, which I think is actually a really good cover. The Mama Said Knock You Out cover, every time I hear that, I'm like, I don't know why they did this, but I like them, and I like Tech 9, and I like the song, so fuck it. I don't know why I like Tech 9. I like Tech 9. But they do a cover of House of the Rising Sun on Volume 2, which I think is actually a pretty decent cover. If you get a chance, I'd say check it out. The biggest problem I have, honestly, with this album has nothing to do with the actual music of it. I had pre-ordered the album. I pre-ordered it as part of a package when it came out. It was supposed to come with a T-shirt. Yeah. Well, when you pre-order an album, you expect to get it in the mail the day it hits stores, if not sooner. I got it in the mail 3 weeks after it came out.
Oh,
so, like, I was calling the merch company, and I was like, where the fuck is my... If I wanted to wait 3 weeks, I would have just gone and bought it in stores, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So I get the CD, and it doesn't come with a T-shirt. It comes with a coupon, so I can go onto their merch store and get a free T-shirt. And I'm like... Okay, not how it was advertised, but what the fuck ever. So I go punch in my coupon code, and I went ahead and splurged for 2 days shipping. 3 weeks later, I still don't have my fucking shirt, and I call them up, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck is going on? Well, the shirts haven't actually shipped out yet, but when they do ship out, you'll get it in 2 days. Okay, well, how long does it take for the shirt to ship out? About 8 to 10 weeks.
Nice.
So I finally got the shirt. Didn't even fucking fit. Never wore it again. Got disc 2 when it came out. And volume 2 was supposed to come with a live DVD, and I'm like, oh fuck yeah, I love the live album. I want to hear the DVD of this shit. and the DVD wasn't even a proper live DVD. It was all the songs from the live album with the audio from the live album, but the video was just a super cut of a bunch of different performances from the tour of that song.
Huh.
Which is somebody who loves his, like, I've got a whole shelf of just concert DVDs, really pissed me off.
Yeah.
Because it was like, at this point, I should just watch a fucking music video, because that's all this fucking is. Because there were...
Sounds like the merch crew is just...
Well,
and their production crew takes just about as much pride as they do in writing songs.
Well, and I will say, I'm because I'm friends with the bass player on Facebook. He's a real nice guy. I did a lot of interviews with him when I was still working as a journalist. He was real friendly. I still talk to him every once in a while. And when that happened, I straight up like messaged him on Facebook. I was like, "Here's the shit that your merch company is doing right now." And he was like, "I know. I'm sorry. We just found out about this shit. We're like already like." Talking to our manager about dropping them as our fucking merch distributor because they had just switched. They were like their new merch people. They were trying them out for the first time, and like a month later, they were like, "Yeah, we're no longer with them. We went to these guys. We're going to give a lot of people their money back."
Sucks. That's a hell of a way to tank your business right there.
Yeah. And what ended up happening was a lot of bands were using had started using that company. By the end of the year, that company was gone. Because all that remains is using them. Killswitch is using them. Metallica was using them. They were all like, "Fuck those guys."
How did they get all those guys to sign up?
I don't know. They probably offered them like some kind of production deal or something like that, or quantities, or I don't know how that shit works. We use Redbubble. They take care of everything for us. So I don't know how that kind of shit works.
Fuck yeah, Redbubble kind of skirts the line of like copyright boundaries though. Like if I wanted to make any kind of shirt, I could put it up there real quick and buy it for myself and then just like delete it. And...
Next thing you know, Disney's knocking on your door. But,
I see so much stuff that should be, branded in such a, that they should get mad about it, but I don't see any repercussions for these.
Meanwhile, I put up a video of me singing Avenged Sevenfold at karaoke, and I get my video pulled for copyright infringement. I don't know how this shit fucking works anymore.
I don't know.
Anyway. So yeah, no, I get where you're coming from as far as, with Death Punch. Like I said, I think I maybe misspoke last week when I was talking it up. For me, honestly, one of the biggest things that sold me on the album was the first track featuring Rob Halford from Judas Priest, because I fucking love Judas Priest so much. I will, I will fall over for them any given chance. I'm not gay, but, if Rob Halford walked into my room, I'd be like, I'll try anything once.
There's probably about 13 dudes that I would do that with.
Are you listening, Candace?
I don't know what that says about me, but whatever.
All right. What do you got for me?
I have a rebut.
Oh, you have a rebut. Okay. Okay. This is a first.
Rebut to your rebut. The album artwork is terrible.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it's awful.
The first song with your buddy is fucking awful.
Oh, go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. That is one song I don't give a shit. I will defend that song till my death.
Okay, fair enough.
Just because for me, and I worship the ground Judas Priest walks on, and Judas Priest is one of those bands that I think gets away with that kind of thing. Because if you listen to Judas Priest stuff, and a lot of this is because of the era they came from, it's all very much just sex, drugs, and rock and roll, because that's kind of what was the thing back then. Mm-hmm. So when I heard that song, it was like, okay, this sounds like if Judas Priest started today, this is probably what they would sound like.
You don't know how bad you just fucking kicked your band in the nuts.
I disagree. I don't think it's a shot at Judas Priest. I think it's a shot at what music is now.
I think also too, as part of my rebut to your rebut, that if their band was just called Death Punch, that would be so much cooler.
Just drop the 5 finger.
Yeah. That makes me think of like they're all in high school, right? It's the prom.
I think it's
punch, like somebody gets blood out of the nose from the spiked red punch.
I think it's supposed to be an allusion to like a kung fu movie or something like that. I don't know for sure, but
oh yeah, that was the thing in Kill Bill, was it not? How she actually kills Bill.
Is that what that was? I saw that movie once.
Fuck. I don't know.
See, now I got to go back and rewatch it.
Maybe the audience will tell us.
Tell us anyway.
But she does some sort of boop, 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 psh, and the last like move was like, just a little 5-finger like pressure thing on his heart or whatever, and like he takes like 69 steps and then he fucking explodes or whatever.
I gotta go back and rewatch it. I guess I vaguely remember that. I saw that when it came out, and that was the last time I saw it.
It wasn't actually 69. Sex.
All right, so so let's talk about, as we wrap up here. Let's talk about. We said earlier in the show that going forward, we're going to have a theme for each show that will dictate the albums we assign each other.
Yes. We've created a list throughout the past week, and we have about 25 themes for albums that we could choose from, and some of them are repeatable. Some of them, like what do we think is the greatest classic rock album of all time? That kind of stuff is not repeatable, but
but like what was your summer anthem, or what something that what's a song that just really just gets you at full mast,
Yeah, or we could choose what we thought the best album from a specific artist was, so we could have the same artist in one. Or, from a certain year, whatever. There's a lot of stuff that we can do. So we've been tooling around with that. But for next week, we are going to deal with albums that we think have the best lyricism. So, Mike, first of all, I want you to. I just want to see if you can guess what I gave you.
Shit.
What I'm going to.
I don't even know, because
deep down in the stem of your manhood, how do you feel?
Is it "Unbeliever" by Citizen 7?
No, but that's the one that you should give to me.
Review your own shit, Robert.
I will.
Come up next week. I'm going to diarrhea all over this one, too.
Another diarrhea blanket for you folks.
Nah, I don't know, man, because, Thy Art Is Murder and Babymetal are so drastically different from each other. I don't know what to expect from you at this point.
All right, fair enough. Well, we're talking about lyricism here. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Give it to me, man.
This is what it is. It is the album called I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning by Bright Eyes.
Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake, but it's morning.
Oh, just I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning.
I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning by Bright Eyes. Okay. All right.
That is correct.
So are we going by like what we think are the most creative lyrics, or the most well thought out? What we just think are...
It's, to me, we say, it says lyricism, album with the best lyricism. That can mean a couple different things.
That's going to affect... I've got 3, and that's going to affect which one I give you.
I think, like, if they were going to give out some award to... Think of it, I was going to say like a Bob Dylan style, because, he's pretty much been considered the greatest songwriter of our time. Mm-hmm. And that's purely creativity. It's how it actually works with the song, not just the substance of the lyrics in general,
right.
But how the lyrics are actually projected.
So we're talking in terms of like like how emotion is conveyed and things like that.
I want this to be all of that. I want it to be, the words and the emotion and the overall quality of the music with that great lyricism. What is that album for you?
Oh, man. See, I'm afraid because there's one for me. There's an album for me that holds a real special place in my heart in terms of like where I was at in my life when I heard it and what it did for me going forward and what it still does for me today. But then there's one. Do what?
I think we're leaning more towards an artistic standpoint, not
right.
really.
And that's what I'm talking about in terms of like what it did for me as, like, because I found this album when I was going through my phase of being a douchebag metal fan. And this one kind of showed me like, hey, Mike, it's okay to be metal and feel shit. But in terms of overall creative, in terms of you can feel things and not be emo, despite what your haircut says, Mike. I had an emo cut back then, man. It was bad. In terms of overall creativity,
I can't picture that. That is freaking me out right now.
Oh God, those were dark days. I'm gonna go for this in terms of overall creativity, though.
Okay, I cannot wait to hear it.
This is a big one. This is an album that I don't think gets near enough love as it should, and it's by Judas Priest, and it's called Nostradamus.
Judas Priest, Nostradamus, you think has the best lyricism of any album ever?
It's a concept album about the life, beliefs, and teachings of Nostradamus.
Okay.
In the style of Judas Priest, and it's an album that you're going to hear parts of this album and go, is this still Judas Priest? Because it's so...
I've never listened to Judas Priest.
Ever?
No.
Oh, God. What's it like to be you? What is that? That's like saying you don't read books.
Oh, I read books.
But I'm really curious to see what you think of this from an overall lyricism and artistic standpoint.
Okay. I'll give it a whirl, as they say.
All right.
I'm going to put my 2 cents in it, boy.
Well, I think we've got a show then for today. We both took our respective turns shitting on the albums assigned by the other.
Yes.
Let's see if maybe next week will be a little more on the positive side.
I think. Oh, I just got a good idea.
What's that?
Sorry to interject.
No, you're good.
But since we've created this theme of the diarrhea blanket, maybe that's something that we can market. Just kind of like a brownish, greenish shade of a blanket on the internet. It'll just say track record on it.
The track record diarrhea blanket.
Yeah.
It's made of recycled elephant shit.
That's right. Authentic.
100% organic.
Anyways.
All right. We're gonna call it there. I think. Robert, why don't you tell the good folks where they can find you online?
I am on Facebook. Really, you can just go to eventideent.com and you'll see everything that I am involved with there, and also that the same goes for Mike.
Yeah. Go to eventideent.com, get information on all the great podcasts going on this channel. Robert's podcast Nerd Versus starts. It should will have already started by the time this podcast comes out.
Yes.
So that's up on the feed. My show, Mike Talks Funny, every Tuesday. Nerd Versus on Monday, starting the 25th. Well, started on the 25th. My show, Mike Talks Funny, every Tuesday. Wednesdays is when this show drops. Still working on that Thursday show, and then Friday we've got The Life with Don Smith. Those are up on iTunes, Spreaker, and YouTube right now. Again, go to eventideente.com. Everything you need to know there. I think that's all we got.
Yep. If you want to see me or you want to listen to me battle out some nerd shit on my podcast, the hashtag on Twitter is Gary Busey. Hashtag Gary Busey. And then that's where you drop them dope battles.
And we're all, both of us and Eventide are on Twitch, so
yeah, streaming coming soon.
We're working on that. That's coming. A lot of great stuff coming. Music stuff coming. Eventide is in full swing. We are in full swing.
Just like penis.
Just like a penis. All right, and I think
we're going to end it on penis, man.
Let's end on a penis joke. We're going to end it on a penis joke, guys. We'll be back next week, same time, same podcast feed, to talk about some albums with some heavy duty lyrics going on. Robert, say goodnight to the good people.
Thank you for tuning in. I love you very much.
Thank you guys so much. Have a great evening. A great morning, and have a lot of sex. That's it. We're out. Are you into making music, videos, or podcasts? Are you a local comedic talent in need of some much-needed publicity? Are you a behind-the-scenes professional interested in audio-video production, graphic design, and public relations? Eventide Entertainment is actively seeking talents, clients, and professionals to help our business grow into something truly special. And we want you to be one of those. For more information, go to facebook.com/Eventide Entertainment or send us an email at eventideent@gmail.com.